has some things that we do differently as well, and probably has as much to do with the people on our team and their strengths as it does anything. But I think there's some carryover when we practice against each other, as I know they do, throughout the spring and preseason camp, and then carry over from one game to the next. And so it is what we do against each other is closer to a mirror image, I guess you'd say, than anybody else we face. That's for sure.
Okay. But this year, when we watched all the games, it seems to me that Army has a passing attack that wasn't there before. Did you see it as an evolution from the talent you have, or was this a conscious effort to throw the ball a little more?
We're still 128th in the country in passing. We were there last year too, so it's not like we're a juggernaut throwing the ball. And Saturday we won the ball, or won the game by running the ball, and we hit some big passes, and those catches by Edgar were big plays and made a difference in the game for sure. But last year we led the nation in yards per completion, so we didn't throw it a bunch, but when we did, we were able to throw for big yards, and I think that's the thing. When we're going to throw it, we're throwing it because either a team is not honoring the pass, or we have to, or we just see an opportunity there. So I think that's our philosophy, and really is with the other option teams. None of the option teams, if you look at it, are way high in the stats in terms of passing in comparison with other college football programs. But certainly the others, they've done it more, they've thrown it more, and been effective with their passes and long yardage with their completions as well.
Go ahead, Sal.
I think after the Wake Forest game, you said that this game coming up is the biggest game of the year. What makes this game different than others on the schedule?
Well, each game is, and going to the Wake Forest game, that was the biggest game of the year. And because it's the next one, it's really the only one you can do anything about. But because of what's at stake with the academy rivalries and the Commander-in-Chief's trophy and the pride of saying we beat the other academies in those head-to-head games, it makes it a big game. Rivalry games are fun, and no matter where you play or what sport you're involved with, and there's a lot of teams on our campus that are playing Air Force this weekend in competition, and those right now, this is the biggest game of the year for them too. Just the pride and playing for that is a pretty big deal. So it certainly is to us. It's I don't know that there's a more important goal we have than winning the Commander-in-Chief's trophy and trying to bring that trophy back here. So makes it a big game.
Can you talk about the offensive line's play maybe in the fourth quarter and how Michael Johnson and Jackson Deaton, freshmen, were in there and effective?
Michael Johnson started this week with Houghton being out, and I thought really did a good job. He's a tough kid, plays really hard. He made some mistakes, but the rest of them did too. And he's going to get better and better the more he plays. I'm excited about him and see him come along in our program and watch him grow. Jackson's played more than Michael has this year. Jackson's been in and out of the lineup in several games and done a nice job. He's a big kid and maybe our stoutest, biggest guy on the offensive line, 310 pounds, and does a really nice job. And again, he's going to improve. He's going to get better as he plays more. I'm really proud of those guys for going in to a game like that and being able to perform and help us move the football. And we wouldn't have been able to run the ball and move the ball had it not been for those five guys up front. I thought they did a nice job. And what I was most proud of was just the fact that they kept fighting. they didn't quit. They didn't lay down. They were getting knocked around and pushed around in the first half, and we weren't getting much in terms of our run game. But they stayed at it. They kept after them, and I think eventually just were able to make some blocks, and it was just that persistence and the intensity that they maintained throughout the game.
All right, we'll open it to those joining us via teleconference. Please state your name and organization and ask your question.
One of the distinguished wins during your tenure here at West Point. Can you talk about what you saw in your players and even the coaching staff in the final quarter Saturday's game that perhaps were key or are key to the win?
I think that the team overall, just everybody, kept believing that we were going to find a way to win, and I felt that our team has had that spirit about them for the last couple of years, and but we didn't have the success last year. I did talk about this after the game on Saturday again. Somebody asked me a very similar question. That I thought our guys showed a great resiliency last year. We fought right to the end. It didn't matter. Every game, lost some really close games that were disappointing and could just take the wind out of your sails. But our guys didn't allow that to happen. They came back the next week and battled, and though they might have been disappointed again with another close loss, they came back the following week and battled. And I think they've kind of become a team that plays that way. So throughout the game, no matter what's going on, they don't hang their heads or start to look around for somebody else to make a play or point fingers or wonder what's going on. I think they just keep battling, they keep trying, and keep playing. And I thought Saturday was a great example of that. There were plenty of times in the game where you could just say, "Oh gosh, not again." We threw the interception down there on the goal line, and you were driving there, and again you could hang your head, or our defense could have thrown their hands up like, "Oh gosh, we got to go do this again," but they didn't. They just went out there and battled and made a play, and eventually we made enough plays to win. And I think the team has got a good attitude and a good spirit about them, and hopefully we can keep it.
Great. And my follow-up and final question on the offensive side of the ball, it appears that quarterback Martin Bradshaw is really coming into his own when it comes to effectively running the offense. As you step into the second half of the season, how would you grade his season performance thus far?
Oh, he's had some really good games. He's had some things that he'd probably like to get those back, get some plays or some drives that he'd like to get back, some decisions that he'd like to do over again. But again, he's, I think, like the rest of the guys, hasn't allowed it to affect him negatively. He's a mentally tough kid, and when he makes a mistake, sometimes he gets his rear end chewed out, but he comes back and responds. And he's a mentally tough guy, and it's good to have a leader like that. And I think he's done a really good job leading our offense. There's times where he hasn't played as good as we'd like for him to, but he's playing with great effort. I thought he ran the ball really, really hard in the second half on Saturday, and made a big difference for us in the victory. So he was a big part of that win for us on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Coach Ken Craig for Sunday American Legion Radio. Good afternoon. I was watching a highlight of Darnell Wolfo's touchdown run. You couldn't help but you couldn't miss the great block by the tight end Quentin Parker, which really broke open the left side of that play. I was wondering if you could just talk about the performance on blocking you're getting from your tight ends.
That position is a little bit of an odd position for us. For years, we never played with one. Didn't have one on the roster, and just put receivers in there at that position, or put an extra offensive lineman in there at that position. and as we've done this year at times, changed an offensive lineman to an eligible jersey number to play there. And we did that with Ryan Alexander, and we did it with last year, and we did it with Brett Toth this year. We've done it in the past. There was a guy named Dorian Bird at Georgia Southern. We did that with him. We actually had a Velcro tear-off number. I mean, we just changed it interchangeably as the game went along, and we'd have to report it each time. But that position we ask so much of in terms of being a blocker, and then as well as being a receiver, and so ideally you have a guy that can do both. But Quentin's done a nice job. We had Mendenhall in there some. Unfortunately, he had the tough play last week against North Texas with the pass that he caught. But you know, I'd like to kind of grow that position and have some guys that come up through the program. Kelvin was a perfect guy. And he just the right body type, could do a lot of different things for us, and so that's the kind of guy that we're looking for at that position. But you know, those guys are playing really hard, and they're part of the offensive line group. Really, they're an offensive lineman with an eligible jersey number on, and sometimes they get to go out for pass routes.
And just looking at Air Force's offense, they generate a lot of yards, 450 yards a game. They've had a fair number of fumbles, but what are your challenges in facing the Air Force offense?
Well, I think like everybody, our defense doesn't practice against the option all day long, and so our guys aren't thinking about all their option assignments from week to week as we go through getting prepared for Wake Forest or North Texas as we did the week before that, or Lafayette or Duke or whatever. You know, it's more of whatever traditional offense is, getting ready for traditional offenses, and so we've got to transition as a defense and prepare for option football. And it's not easy. It's not an easy transition for our players and for anybody to do that. And now we do have a lot of banked reps, and we do have a lot of time invested in defending the option because we do it against our offense in preseason and spring ball, and we practice it throughout the year. We do practice it some, but it's just a very small portion of practice every day that we dedicate to that. So that's a challenge in itself, just getting prepared for the scheme.
Just on their defense, they have the two senior safeties, Brody Hooked, and a name we always remember, Weston Steelhammer, makes a lot of plays for them. What are the challenges that their defense presents?
Well, they got a lot of guys on that defense that have played a lot. Very veteran group of guys. If you look, a lot of seniors playing for them, and when you've got a strong senior group on one particular unit, whether it be offense or defense, you expect them to be pretty good, and they do a good job. They fly around, they play with great effort, and they've got a scheme that against the offense, the option offense that they've worked on for years, and kind of come up with a plan and perfect that plan and tweak and change that plan each time they play an option team to make it even better. And they do a really good job of playing their assignments and playing that scheme. And you can look at what they did against Navy earlier this year in shutting down the run, and did a really nice job of defending them. They did the same against us a year ago. We didn't do a very good job running the football against them, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that they were doing a great job defending us.
Thanks, Coach.
Any other questions?
Associated Press. Coach, in the last two games, you've gone from about as low as you could go to probably almost as high as you could go. Do you feel like the team has got a good dose of confidence after last week and is ready to take another step forward?
I didn't understand your question or the comment you were looking for. Could you repeat that, please?
Well, after last week's game, winning beating an ACC team on the road, you feel like that has given the team actually built the confidence and it's ready to take maybe the next step in being an Air Force?
Oh, the win last week was a great win for us. To beat Wake Forest, who had beaten us the last 2 years, to just be able to finally overcome that and get a victory over them was big for us. Dave Clausen's an outstanding coach, and he's built a really good program there. And he and I were talking before the game. We know each other well. We worked together years ago, and we were just talking about that, about building a program. And I know what a great job he's doing. They're only going to get better. But to beat a 5-win team and on the road was a really great win for our program. And anytime that we win a game, I think that gives us confidence. I think that helps us. Certainly when you do it over a good football team and you've had to fight really hard and you've performed well, especially down the last part of the game, and we did down the stretch, play well to win the game. So it should give us some confidence, and certainly losing is disappointing, but we haven't lost any games this year because we weren't ready, or we weren't playing hard, or it didn't matter to us. Our guys have fought and played as hard as they could the whole way through, and more times than not, it's gone our way, and that's good, and that's an improvement for us. So a big step for us would be to beat an academy rival. We haven't done that since I've been here as the coach, so it's something we're certainly striving to do, and hopefully we'll play well enough on Saturday to give ourselves a chance.
Thanks, Coach.
Any other questions via teleconference? Go ahead, Rich.
Hey, Coach. Rich DeMarco, Army Radio. You mentioned Edgar earlier. Just from his presence on the field and him being at or near 100%, playing the majority of those snaps, how much does that change what you're able to do offensively and how other teams can defend you?
Well, we've got a lot of confidence in Edgar, and feel like if we throw the ball his direction, he's got a chance to get it. And he did a good job of that on Saturday. But we've had some other guys make some plays, and in his absence, those guys have done a good job. Jeffy Jenkins made some nice catches, and Christian Poe's made some catches for us. But I think other people are conscious of the fact that Edgar's a good player. And the nature of what we do, number one, doesn't lend itself to us saying, hey, we're going to change the offense and we're going to throw it 40 times because we got a really good receiver and we're just going to chuck it out there to him. For us to be good on offense, for us to be good as a team and control the football like we want to do, we got to run the ball effectively. But that also, it doesn't allow teams to do other things like come up with other coverages that are just going to defend this one guy, because there's a lot of other offense out there to defend. And I think anytime, the other academies each have a guy like that. Navy's got Tillman, and Air Force got Robinette, and those kids both of those guys are really good players. And people have a tough time defending those guys, but they've got a lot of their offense to defend with the option, and so I think you realize he's there, and you want to utilize his strengths and his abilities, and we did that Saturday, and like I said, it made some big plays that I think helped us win a football game.
And Jeff, how do you feel right now about your fullback position, where you are from a depth standpoint, and between Andy and Darnell, and where you might want to go from there?
It's good to have Andy and Darnell back. 2 weeks ago, we were playing Cole Masick, who's the third string guy, and played the whole game. He did a great job. But there's a depth chart based on what we think the ability of those guys are, and I'm glad those guys are healthier. I wouldn't say either one of them's 100% completely healthy. We'd sure like to get them there. I think at the beginning of the year, when they were both completely healthy, they looked really, really good, and now they're just we're we're trying to get the most out of what they can give us. The two of them combined, and Cole played some on Saturday, not a bunch, but played some in their absence, and so I think both of those guys are productive players when they're healthy, can help us move the football, and we intend to give them some opportunities to do that.
Great, thanks, Coach.
Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, Coach. I lost a half an hour yesterday. I lost a half an hour this morning to the old grads. They're calling. Aside from Navy tickets, which everybody wants, they're all excited. They're all looking forward. We're going to be there for us. Okay. How much of that are you getting? And do you deal with that in any different way because it's an academy game, or do you just push it all aside?
Fortunately, I don't have to deal with that. I don't give out my personal number to anybody, and we've got a great staff upstairs that, if somebody's trying to get a hold of me, they usually have to go through a few people before that happens. So there's a select few that are great friends of our program that I do know, but they're the folks that are always offering support and are here no matter what, and are really good to us. But I don't have much time to deal with that, and I think they'd rather me be doing my job and trying to get our team prepared rather than dealing with outside distractions. So no, I know that it's important to everybody, and everybody who loves Army football and who's been a part of this academy. These games are really big, and it is you're playing for pride, and that's a great thing to play for. There's nothing better to play for than that. That makes you play harder than any trophy or any award or reward. It's just the pride that you feel in being victorious over a rival. So everybody wants that. We do too. We're going to do the best we can, try as hard as we can. I know our kids will play hard, and I'm sure theirs will too. And it's a big game for them. But I can only control what I can control. And each of the guys in this room, our team, they got to control their effort and their attitude. And if they do that, hopefully it'll be good enough for us to have a chance to win.